Welcome, everybody. Looks like a fun group out here. Jeremy and Cynthia look extra happy today. Are we live yet? Oh. Here we go. I did what? Oh. Notice is hereby given pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, that the city of Smithville will conduct a special called council meeting on June 17, 2026 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall, 317 Main Street, Smithville, Texas. I call this meeting to order. First item is discussion and action on authorizing expenditures from tax note per ordinance 2025697. Do we have anything we need to look at? Okay, at this time, we do not have anything to look at. And next item is discussion and action on upgrading the advanced metering infrastructure, AMI networking and metering system options.
I think we're going to defer to our representative if you have any questions.
Come on up and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, it's Chad Nobles. I with Amoresco. I know that we have talked so many times. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Chad Nobles with Amoresco. I was asked to kind of be here tonight to answer any questions that you might have. I know we've provided some different information in the past as it relates to your AMI system and some of the challenges that you guys are facing. So I'm really here to answer any questions and kind of go from there. So I don't know if there's discussion that wants to talk or how you wanted to go about doing that. So.
Jeremy, if you would go ahead and talk about kind of what we've already said and where we're going to head with this in the next week.
Okay. Long story short, we've had some issues with our meters. There was a purchase prior to my arrival of, the installation of a whole system of meters that essentially the company that produced those meters is no longer going to be servicing those meters. And our public works director probably has more specific information about that since he was here during that transition. However, we are in a position where as of February of this upcoming year, those meters will no longer be serviced. So we'll be in a position to either have to read those manually or pursue some other option. Amoresco has given us several options as far as possibly replacing those and or upgrading the system. And so ultimately we need to come to a conclusion as to whether or not we want to pursue that and additionally how we plan to pay for that. So that's the crux of the matter for the most part.
Edward, I think you were given some information from some handheld readers that were on eBay. Did we look into those, or is there any reason for us to even pursue that because we're on such a short time?
Yeah, being that we're on such a short notice, Chad sent me links that he had found some handhelds or whatever. We just haven't pursued all the way through it yet because we were going to kind of wait to decide what are we going to do. And then I think me and Brandon were talking at one time. We were trying a different scenario of what we were going to try to do. I don't think that he's got some stuff, but it won't really work through the system yet. So we just haven't moved that far yet with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think for clarity, we had kind of hypothesized like, are the meters send out a pulse of data? And I was actually able to read that data. And we could potentially, for no additional cost, be able to do that. But the thing that the tool does is it sends out a pulse saying, send that data now. Versus the meters only go every 15 minutes. So you'd have to sit in an area for 15 minutes, collect all the data, then move to the next area. And while it's possible, manpower becomes a little cumbersome. So that's what the tools do. That's what the system does. It actually tells the meter to send the information out. And unfortunately, there's not a way for it, but yeah.
So basically at this time, since this is going to be a time crunch for what we're going to have to do, we have to find a way to replace them, and we have to find the financial leg that we're going to use to do this with. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm assuming you guys had seen kind of what we had talked about. We'd given a budget roughly of $2 million for just the electric. I think it was 3.2 to do a complete, change out of water and electric.
3.2.
There was an option to do this. If you can do it different funding mechanisms in different ways. It's totally up to you. We don't manufacture any of these meters. We obviously help you guys pick and choose the right one and put them in. And then the other thing I was going to say is we do also as a service model, which I think we talked about, where we would basically use our capital, put all the meters in, and then you pay a monthly fee for every meter that's read. And it's just kind of a shifting of risk, from that standpoint, and a way to fund it differently. So those are kind of what the three options that we've talked to staff and others about. So it's really up to you. We're here to help if you guys would like us to help, and we'd love to obviously work with you guys as well.
I know that there's some conversations out there right now about potentially finding the paperwork that we had signed with the previous manufacturer. With that said, I think for me to feel comfortable moving forward, because we still owe $1.2 million on the current meters, and now we're being told we need to spend $2 million. I wouldn't be able to, for the fiduciary duty that we have, to now go in and say, hey, we got to spend $2 million and not to have a concrete ironclad support agreement in place. It just doesn't make sense. And so, manual meter reading, that's for those that were in the meeting last time where I was talking about an unknown expense coming up. That was the one that I knew was coming up that is being proposed, and we've got to figure out what that looks like and how technical it is and how much of an issue it's going to cost for the billing department. But this is a lot of money no matter which way we go, and we still have a lot of debt on old meters.
And I think this was just to bring everybody up to speed where we are on the electric meters, and we're going to try to come to a conclusion of how we're going to go forward. So I appreciate you coming in to answer questions, and I know we have data from you, and going forward, we're going to have to make a decision what we're going to do. And so thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next item is presentation from the city manager and the staff on the 2026-2027 budget.
All right, so I think she's gonna pull it up here pretty quick. Okay, so we're at the point where we have dates set. We have several meetings coming up in the budget process, this being the first of those meetings. Historically, what's happened is there was a little bit more information. This is very high level. We're just going to talk about our current financial status, some of our needs moving forward, and there'll be an opportunity for the community to ask questions if they would like. But really what I would like is input from the council as to some of the things that are priorities for you from a policy perspective. So I'll just run through this, and if there are questions, feel free to stop me. Thoughts, I may not have every answer, but we will get every answer back to you if I don't. So going through the budget process timeline, and this is kind of meant to be educational, not only for some of our newer members, but also for the community. We have 4 budget workshops scheduled, and they're going to get more complex over time. The dates are outlined above, June 17th being today is the first, July 30th, August 20th, and then September 9th. And hopefully at that point, when we've ironed out all the kinks and we've figured out which direction we want to go from an organizational standpoint, and we've identified and addressed all the needs, that we can have a final budget to approve, for council to approve on September 14th. So some of the presumptions that we're working off of, currently the CPI or the inflation rate is at 4.2%. So the cost of living is obviously going up, and that's drawn directly from federal websites. Our net taxable values, our property values are actually higher than they were in 2025. So that's a positive thing. More homes, more property tax, more assessed values. So at this point, just to kind of point out, our payroll and benefits account for approximately 36% of our total budget. I know that there's a belief that the city is essentially expending most of its funds on employees. At 36%, that's actually pretty decent for any organization. We are actively evaluating cost savings, cost-cutting measures, some of which the council has introduced earlier this year that I had to execute. We're looking for opportunities to increase revenue, whether or not that be through sludge processing or other things that would bring revenue to the city. At this time, we have no plans to increase utility fees. That ultimately would be a council decision at the end of the day, but that's not anything that's being recommended. But again, it is the council's decision. Current budget status, luckily we have one of the best finance directors in the area, in the county, in the state, probably, I'm sure. She's received a clean audit several years in a row and continues to be exceptional in that area. And again, we also did receive a clean audit this previous fiscal year, 24-25. Currently, our fiscal year 25-26 revenues are exceeding our expenditures by about $219,000. That's on the $16.8 million budget. So we're actually spending, we're not spending as quickly as we're receiving, which is a positive. Hot tax and sales tax revenues have also increased. Well, hot tax is fairly flat for the most part. Sales tax has increased. There's only a slight increase in the hot tax. 92% of our $3 million tax note, the city has two tax notes, essentially. We have a 2023 tax note and we have a 2025 tax note. 92% of the 2023 tax note has been spent. And at this point, year to date, $174,000 in interest has been earned. On the 2025 tax note, only 21% of that tax note has been spent and $54,000 year to date interest has been earned. The 2026 budget process, again, which is why we're here now, first step is currently underway. There is a recommendation of 3 times your operating expense, and we currently have $562,000 more than the recommended fund balance that we're required to have or recommended to have by industry professionals. So we're actually in a very good position from a fund balance standpoint. And we've completed roughly 8 months of our fiscal year, which is about 67%. So we're actually in pretty good position. We have certain line items that are over budget, but overall, we're in a very good position. The current budget status. So for the 25-26 year-to-date revenue versus expenses, year-to-date expenses are about 11.4 million. And the revenue collected during that time frame is about 11.6 million. So we expect that we'll have an additional 5.4 million throughout the rest of the year in expenses that we haven't executed yet. From a fund perspective, the utility fund is at 5.7 million or at 50%. The maintenance fund is about 86,000, 1%. Debt service at about $1 million or a little over $1 million, and the general fund at 4.5. And about 39%. So again, revenue is exceeding expenses in this situation again by 218,000. And so we're moving forward in a positive way. So if you would look at our budget history, historically, there haven't been drastic swings in the budget. For example, if you look at 24-25, fiscal year 24-25 versus our current fiscal year, we only actually increased the budget by less than 1%. So it's 0.82. So we're not, swinging in terms of our budget drastically. It's a fairly steady growth process. And so again, looking at general fund revenues, I know the community wonders where that money comes from. From a general fund perspective, about half of the funds that we expend from the general fund come from taxes. We receive about 2% from licenses and permits. Services are about 1.2 million, and miscellaneous is about 1.2 million as well. So we're moving forward again. On the expense side, on the from the general fund, and we have obviously the general fund and essentially our utility fund. So on the general fund side, $1.2 million or 28% of that expenditure actually goes to the police department. $500,000 about to the admin. Airport is about 191,000, and you can kind of see the different areas and categories and how those general funds are actually expended. Now, on the utility side, which is our other account, most of that revenue comes from our electric sales. We're at about 65% of our utility fund revenues come from electric, about 11% or about a little over $567,000 from wastewater and $771,000 from water, with miscellaneous being about 9%. On the expenditure side, we're transferring from the utility fund to the general fund because ultimately the general fund would not survive without those transfers. Electric is 42% or about 2.3 million. About 15% of that utility fund is transferred in, or about 836,000, and water and wastewater accordingly as it's showing on the screen. So in addition to our expenditures, we have to look at our debt history as well. For fiscal year 25-26, our debt is roughly about $11.1 million, and that includes a $3 million tax note that the city took out for that year. Currently, we're at about 9.3, so our debt is decreasing. However, again, depending on how we spend money, because I know we have some big problems. We have a wastewater plant. We have the meter that we just talked about. There's some things that are coming up that are going to potentially cause that to fluctuate. The $3 million CFO was for wastewater improvements and the water tower. We have $750,000 tax note in 2021 for capital equipment and about $1.25 million for tax notes for capital equipment infrastructure upgrades. The 2023 tax note was $3 million, and again, we've worked that down drastically. And the 2025 tax note, again, we've not expended much out of that as of yet, but this is essentially an overview of where our debt comes from. So regarding the tax note, the city council approved the $3 million tax note in 2023 to purchase those items that are outlined: capital upgrades, infrastructure upgrades, city-owned facilities. And one of the rules of that is that we must expend 85% of that tax note within 3 years, and we're right on track to do that. The term is 7 years, and if we're paid from property taxes, 92% of the tax note is spent, and the total remaining with interest is about a little over $400,000. And this is a report that the council gets essentially every meeting that we have, which is a overview that's provided in the financial report that shows our progress towards specific items that you created the tax note for. They're broken down by line item and by department, so you can stay kind of up to date as to whether or not all those funds are being expended in the way that they were intended. So there's several pages of that, and again, I won't go through it because we get that every meeting that we have every month. And this is the 2025 tax note. Go ahead, please.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
The 2023 tax note, you said the remaining with interest is 407,414. Is that the amount of debt that's remaining or the amount of balance that's remaining?
That's the amount of money that we have yet to purchase items.
Okay,
It's not, has nothing to do with the debt. The debt is the 7-year, and we're paying that down
okay, perfect.
every 6 months,
Thanks.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So we,
To spend, yeah.
When we go back, we talk about the interest that the tax notes have made. Okay, is that money put into a separate account? Does that just go into the general fund and we use it immediately, or does it stay in one place?
no, it's sitting within that tax note. So when we've done other things like in the 23 tax note, I know some of that interest was allocated to do other projects if you go back and look, because we do include it in there. It stays within that tax note because it's money earned on the tax note, so it stays with the tax note.
Okay, so
So it can be used for those projects that are listed that,
that's
that
what I
can
want to
be
get clear.
done.
It can be used for anything within that tax note.
yeah, whatever that tax note was set up for.
Okay.
That's what we can use that interest for.
Thank you.
Go. And again, this is the breakdown of the 2025 tax note. So anyone in the public or the community or city council or whomever can always keep up with our progress towards those items. So we're looking at sales tax revenue. We and forgive me, my throat is a little scratchy. Looking at sales tax revenue for the past year, we raised roughly about 937,000. This is for 2025. For 2026, we're on pace to actually break that. We are currently at about 500,000, and thank you. And so we're making really good progress towards that. Again, year to date, 500,000, but this is a kind of a snapshot of where our sales tax has come from, essentially, or at least the levels of those sales tax per year. Current valuations. So there's a few terms that may be foreign to the community. The no new revenue tax rate, which raises the same amount of revenue from existing property in theory. We have to say in theory because you can have the exact same percentage of property tax, but a larger tax base, and it would actually result in a larger amount of budget. So in theory, it does raise the same amount, but there are some factors. The voter approval tax rate, the VAR, which is the no new revenue tax rate, the maintenance and operations rate plus 1.035 plus debt plus unused increment rate. Very complicated. I don't know who came up with these formulas, but they put a lot of work into it. Unused increment rate, foregone revenue where adopted rate revenue was less than the VAR revenue for 3 prior years. Total revenue foregone is converted to unused increment rate on current year values. And then there's your de minimis tax rate for cities like Smithville, which are populations under 30,000. That rate will generate oftentimes an additional 500,000 of new revenue. The city council does have the option to pursue that if it wishes. It's historically been called the fire truck exception, the fire truck, but that'll probably buy you half a fire truck now, maybe, a used one. But it is an option, an additional option that the council does have. Looking at our BCAD property values, the 2026 BCAD net taxable property values in Smithville total around 478,891,426. That is a 2.49% increase over last year's net value of 467. So property values are going up, which is good for us. And 2,830 properties have been evaluated, 1,671 single-family residential properties, and the percent or the number of over 65 tax-free residents, surprisingly, has decreased from 504 to roughly 469. So we're comparing ourselves constantly to our neighboring communities. And so we use a benchmark of 8 municipalities, those being Bastrop, Lockhart, Elgin, and you can kind of see the rest of the list. And Smithville, with our population, is at 0.638952 per $100 of assessed value. So the total tax burden to the resident is $2.08 per $100 of valuation. And we represent about 31% of the tax burden, being those 4 entities: the city of Smithville, Bastrop County, the road and bridge tax, which is Bastrop County also, and then Smithville ISD. And we also have the option of a hotel occupancy fund. I put some basic information here that basically a hotel occupancy fund allows cities to levy a occupancy tax up to 7%. We are currently at 7%. Is that correct? I think so. Yes. Okay. I thought I confirmed that earlier. We are currently at 7%. And again, that's managed through the chamber. Or is it it's not the chamber, it's
The chamber manager.
yes, chamber manages, correct. So again, the more hotels we build, the better. I know that we all want more hotels and more options for stay in the community, and I think we're working towards some of those goals as well.
I didn't know about the ETJ. Do we levy that?
Yes. That is a.
Yes, we do levy the ETJ. We just recently started that. And I think I've talked to you about it before, that we got with Airbnb and Vrbo, and now they collect our tax. And so even the people that were non-compliant before will start paying, will start getting those checks coming. And it will include the ETJ, which was never included before. We couldn't even get half of our half of the people to pay as it was. We weren't trying to go beyond, but now it will be, yes.
And does that apply to like the state park? Do they collect?
I'd have to look at our map. I don't think it goes out that far. It's only a half a mile
Okay,
past our city limits, so I don't think it reaches that.
super close. Okay.
Mhm.
So our hotel tax, our hot tax, historically, going back to 2022, has roughly ranged from about 40,000 to about 50, give or take. Last year was 46,328, and we currently have, or at this point, we are at 27,280. We have roughly about 36 different hotel, motel, lodging options, including all the local brands as well. 7% of that taxable receipt is what the hotel tax recovers, and there is an option for a 1% discount if it's paid quarterly. Some of the future plans that we have to address in this budget session are going to be things that we've already been dealing with. Gasly wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation. We have some local businesses that are investing in the community. Culper Ring Distillery Tasting Room, AutoZone, Tractor Supply. We have to refurbish our water storage, Gasly lift station, drainage projects, Garwood development and airport expansion, and MLK sidewalk installation. So we have a lot of projects going on that we're going to have to really buckle down and kind of figure out what the costs associated with all those are in this process. So as far as next steps for the budget, we're going to have 3 more of these sessions. The next session is going to be Wednesday, July 23rd. And I'm sorry, the 30th, excuse me, July 30th. Made a little typo. July 30th. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get a lot more in-depth and in the weeds on some of these things. This initial discussion was just meant to be very broad and very high level. We're going to present the yellow sheets, which is essentially all of our departments get together, and those individual departments break out and discuss whatever their needs are for this upcoming year. We've already received all of those, and so we've already, kind of started the process of putting those into a budget so that council could consider what they will and won't do moving forward. The preliminary budget and the tax rates will be determined. Right now, our evaluations are not final. We have, I believe in July 25th, we'll have our final valuation, which will actually give us a lot of information that we need to kind of move forward. And of course, we'd love to hear what the council would like to see happen. I know everyone has an individual desire to focus on a different segment of the community, and we'd like to make sure that that's represented in the budget that we present to you. And at this point, we would generally open it up for citizen comments if there are any. And we're as much information as we can get. We'd love to hear it.
Anybody signed up to speak?
No, I don't have anybody signed up to speak.
Did anybody come in that didn't get a chance to sign up? Okay, very good overview. Winnie, you have any questions?
So I have a question about our youth activities and getting that added into the budget. I believe you received an email from the community member who had proposed something for the rec center. And I'm wondering if that needs to be something that's covered by the city that we can put into our budget, or if it needs to be privately funded.
It depends if it serves if it's a function that would be covered by the rec center, and if it serves a government purpose, then yes. If you were more specific, maybe I could probably get a quicker answer for you as far as youth activities.
Yeah, so there was a proposal from a community member about a game room at the rec center, and the purpose that would align with governmental issues is essentially crime reduction,
Mhm.
because our youth don't have anything to do, and so they are getting into stuff, so to speak. And so I want to make sure we look at that and see if that's something that is feasible and it actually will reduce youth crime or, things of this nature.
I can definitely look into that. We have gyms for health. We have basketball courts, so it is a recreation center, the key word being recreation. I will absolutely look into that and get you an answer.
Thank you.
I think this is a question more for Edward about Gasly. Is he already gone? I think. He's on the phone. What I'm wanting to know is, if we're going to be shutting Gasly down and using a force main, that's what our future for that. How much do we, number one, why are we investing? Are there short-term repairs that need to be done? If there are long-term repairs, how do we mitigate cost and make it so we're not spending so much money and we're moving forward in a way with that? Because if we're going to do, what's been proposed to us is to shut down Gasly at this point, which would be within a 2-year period. I have a hard time spending a whole lot of money into Gasly to make it operate longer than it needs to.
Well, the organization that we're working with to kind of, update our infrastructure from a wastewater standpoint is in the process of getting grants or working on submitting for grants that would kind of defray some of those costs. Outside of that, we have the same options as any other city. We can, we can divert funds internally. We can go out for bonds. There's several options that we have, but more specifically, is there,
Specifically is, can we defer any now repairs we will have to do, but any upgrades or anything that needs to do to prolong Gasly's life, if we could not spend that money there? Okay, because if we're going to shut it down and it's going to be a force main and all it's going to have is a lift station, then it doesn't make sense to me to spend money on a long term in there.
no, I mean,
Especially if
yeah,
that company is going to be taking over responsibility of
Yeah.
both of the wastewater treatment plants. Why invest money before they're about to take it on?
Yeah.
That's, I agree. And if I'm being honest, that's probably more of an Edward question. He deals with the day-to-day operations of that.
Oh, he's back, finally.
Emergency phone call we had to take, but so, and I was listening while I was coming through, but yeah, and we were just talking about this the other day with me and my guys and everything and stuff. We're trying to not do as much anymore to Gasly sewer plant as we don't need to anymore. Because of, like you said, we're going through the process. We're going to see what happens if we end up making it force main all the way to Willow. So we want to make sure and take care of Willows right now and get it until 2 or 3 years down the road till we get it up to where it's built and ready to go. So that's where the money needs to be spent. There are some issues that are out there, and I haven't got to sit and talk to Jeremy with it about it yet because of what we're doing here today or whatever, but I know we had some money left in the tax note, towards going there, which we're not using, but we might need to see about spending some of that money to gear up the water plants and the wastewater plants to make Willows happen.
Well, is the clarifier that's over at Gasly.
Mhm.
I mean, I know we've been limping with it forever.
It's working and we're doing pretty good. We have a couple pumps and a couple motors that need to be replaced and they're very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And stuff that would help that clarifier keep moving and doing its job and stuff. There is one winch that we have to replace for the clarifier to help pick it up,
Uh-huh.
keep it up, needs to be replaced and stuff. So and I've got numbers on all of that and everything and stuff. Just a ballpark, we're looking $120,000 right now just to kind of fix up everything at Gasly. I'm sorry, Willows. Sorry, keep saying Gasly.
At Willows. Okay. Yeah, I was talking about Gasly. Is there, I mean, because the clarifier at Gasly.
Yeah, the clarifier at Gasly is fine too. Everything, Paul said we're good. We can limp by and make it without having to try to spend a whole lot of money or whatever and stuff. So we're
I
just,
think the questions are coming from because the future plans talks about Gasly lift station rehabilitation. And I think that's maybe why we're both asking about it.
Yeah, because I mean, we may need to do some work on it to get it through the short time.
Mhm.
But if they're gonna build a whole new lift station there that's gonna take care of everything, I see no sense in spending
A lot of
more
money.
money than we need.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But until this day, we still have to keep the both plants running and operational so that we don't get dinged by TCEQ.
And
Or whatever,
even
so-
at that, we don't want to lose Gasly as a wastewater
That's right.
place. We want to keep that
Yeah, we're not,
in,
yeah.
in place.
We do not want to give up that place at all.
Absolutely.
No, never, ever.
So, okay, I'm, with that. Thank you.
Okay,
for answering.
no problem.
I guess to your questions, I know we just recently approved, and so I'm sure it's not in there because of that, but as far as the airport fund and the airport expenses and profit, is that gonna be presented soon in like the next budget workshop where that fund is being split off out of the general fund?
Yes, we can make it a point to cover that. That is something that we've had discussions with local news media, for example, as well as internally. And when we were given direction, and when it was brought to our attention by the airport manager that this was a requirement, a grant assurance requirement, we moved to do that. Prior to that point, the city was essentially not complying with the rule that was required. So I appreciate Sandy for letting us know that that was a requirement. And the account has been set up already, correct? Well, I believe that we are in the
But
process.
yes, when we do it, well, basically what'll happen when we do the budget, I'll take the Department 190 out of the current general fund and it will be its own fund. Well, you'll see it separately. We'll move it out so that it is no longer part of the general fund. It's basically what we're going to do. I just haven't got all that done yet.
Okay.
But yes, that's ultimately the goal when we open the account is to move it out so that it's no longer in there. We were tracking it before and
Yeah.
keeping it, so we knew what was, Department 190 was always the airport. And we knew what the expenses and revenue was.
It's just a
But we
formality
just,
to figure
yeah,
it
it's
out.
just a matter of now of totally, really separating it and having it not be together anymore. And that will be something we will present. I just have to figure out how we'll present it separately.
And I believe 2 councils ago, before I was elected on council, there was a movement at that time that any new accounts or anything like that would need to go out for bid for competitive rates. But I believe between the 3 that were here that day, I believe it was Prosperity, First National, and Frontier.
Mhm.
I believe that council is one who approved.
Yeah, what we did was, First National had, got the bid. They did that, but we agreed that we would include the other 2 for new accounts moving forward. Okay, so that's however they need.
So I just want to make sure we bring that to attention, just so that they go out for bid and we,
So you want me
as
to-
far as like rates, whatever the proper terminology is on that terminology.
Yes,
So you want me to go for, because we already said we were going to open it. I just assumed I was opening it with all the other checking accounts, which is our bank depository, which was First National.
I think
I-
we just need to see what the minutes from that
As if you
meeting.
want to go out for bid, then
I
we're going
don't
to, you're
think,
going to have to do the whole bid.
we gave the bid to First National. We
Yeah.
just.
First National was the one at the time that,
If we did something big like that would have like another
I was gonna say-
tax note or something else that was gonna be a big deal, we would we would look at that
Leave it
then.
as if
But
it
for
managed
regular
it, yeah.
checking accounts, I don't think we're gonna be doing anything.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I don't know that we want.
I think regular
to have
checking
my,
accounts will stay.
Account over there, somewhere else.
It was with tax notes and stuff, was it not?
I'm pretty sure it was tax notes and CDs, if we were renewing
Yeah, the
CDs and,
stuff.
yeah.
And for our, like, interest that's coming off our tax note, it could go into that to earn, so what?
I just want to make sure that we're adhering to whatever that counts.
What we said, yeah.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. Question for Judy. Oh, boy. She's looking like she's happy about that, isn't she? I want to know about how we're gonna, what do you need? Because I just heard Winnie talk about things for the kids. I want to know what we're gonna need to expand some children's programs with you. How is your computer stuff done down there? I know that you're probably don't have any new, and I know we're looking for donations and stuff like that to get more, but just kind of an overview of where we're at with.
We do have public access computers and some of them are set aside for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had the upgrade with Avanex,
Uh-huh.
we were able also with a grant from the Dan L. Duncan Foundation last year, we're able to get new computers for the public access. And we do one core of them first. Then those year-old computers or 2 years old move down to the next level.
Mhm.
So each year we try and upgrade some of the computers and we just move them through the system as we do that. Children's programming, we're rocking and rolling.
Okay.
We have added a group for the 6 to 12-year-olds. We have an active teen group that attends, and just in 3 days last week, we had over 500 people walk through our doors. And a lot of them were families that were spending a lot of time there and having a good time. So one of the people that uses one of the rooms for tutoring, she came in and she said, I'm really glad that they feel at home here, that these families feel at home here, but I can't find a quiet place to tutor.
So you just had your magic show, right?
We had a magic show last week to kick off Summer Reading Club. We had 200 people in attendance. Today we had an animal show, had 185 people in attendance. So the families are showing up and participating in the library programming. In addition to that, we do have library activities at the Smithville Community Gardens building.
Mhm.
We have Garden Kids, which is toddler age, and that's every Friday morning. The parents show up with their kids and learn gardening, do arts and crafts and things like that. We have 3 open studio maker spaces at the community gardens. Those are on Thursday and Friday and Saturday now evening. Thursday and Friday, they were 3 to 6, and Saturday was noon to 4, but now that's because of the heat of the summer. I think we're moving that to 4 to 8, place to get in out of the heat. In addition, we were approached by somebody who's interested in trying to help us add a 3D printer to that location. And so we're going to see if we can pull that off. We've got a proposal from them. We've got another person that's interested and capable of overseeing, facilitating the 3D printing. And so we'll have to make sure that the computer is up and running, the internet is up and running, everything is ready to go, and see if we can pull that off.
That would be great. That's good learning for the kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I just basically pulled you up because I wanted everybody to know how important you are to the
Well,
community and the.
thank you. And as far as what can we do for the teens, like we're only meeting once a month right now, but so many of them are very active in school time. So summer we get a little bit extra time with them. So we try and take advantage of that as well.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
And again, we have several versions of this meeting to go through. In the past, the previous year, that first meeting actually had department heads come up and there was a really nice overview. And, they spoke to some of their needs. Essentially, what we're going to do is that's going to happen on the next meeting. So you will hear from the department heads directly more about what their specific needs are on this next meeting.
got issues with my mic, so I'm gonna steal Tyrone's here. I know, I mean, you're kind of asking some of our opinions and stuff like that. I know a lot of the things that I proposed last year are in the works, but I'd like to make sure that they still see a high priority. But a lot of the buildings or houses specifically in town that, like the Charleston Avenue house and others of similar status where they need to be torn down. I know we're kind of waiting on the ordinance to get approved. I'm going to continue meeting with the business owners to get some buy-in on that and then present it to the rest of the council. But the workshop that we did, town hall that we did a few weeks ago went over very well. And I think that a lot of the misnomers and miscommunication has been resolved and some new direction had been presented that seemed agreeable. The other major thing was, especially on the south side, alley cleanup, specifically power lines. I know even when I first moved in, they hadn't been touched in forever, and it was causing power outages all the time till the city came out and cleaned them prior to me getting elected. But things like that I think are huge. And then also the MLK widening and the sidewalks that seems to have stalled. I don't know what the progress is on that. We're working with the county, and I'd love to see that gets some priority again.
I know the widening of 95 is kind of preventing a little bit of the sidewalk stuff, but that's really good for us because there may be a way that we can work with this TxDOT, the contractor, that reuse and the people that are putting in, that may save us some money because we might be able to do some stuff in the holes that they're using. And I think that will be that's a money saver, and I'd really like to see that if that happens. We get that in the biweekly. You were listening to it. Yeah.
And also we're working with the railroad on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
grant. And so we still do not have an answer from the railroad.
Yeah.
Union Pacific for the crossing. We got it?
Yeah.
That's approved. I've been paying those invoices and they've actually picked back up because I've been getting the engineering invoices on the MLK sidewalk project. So we've been getting that engineering, so I would assume that the construction, I hadn't heard anything. I don't
I have
get those emails, but I know I've been getting the invoices for
Here
the
comes some more
engineering.
answers.
So
I'd like to know how they did, they were making it so chopped up that I couldn't
We
see
we
it.
haven't figured out 100% yet, but we do have a meeting tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. And we're still on schedule. Everything's running, everything's moving. Like Cynthia said, she's getting all the invoices paid and everything.
Is
It's still been on, can you hear me?
Is that in here? The 9 a.m. meeting?
Yes. No, it's a Zoom meeting, online meeting.
If we get Jeremy's blessing, can I be there?
But yeah, no, it's still on. Everything's moving, everything's going and stuff. We're just that one little hiccup we're having crossing over the railroad track at Marburger and Miller right there. We just can't get that. Not we know what we want to do. We just can't get the railroad to.
And we have been, everybody's been working on the crossing, and I think the answer is coming. And so the sidewalks are moving, but we are working on it.
Yeah, the first meeting was
Yes,
it was just so cut up, and you made the point, Mayor. No, those kids will not follow a zigzag across those tracks. They're not going to do that. So I'm hoping they straighten that out. But could you put Brandon an invite for that meeting? Okay, he can. All right. I didn't know if you were the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if y'all could just kind of, when you get through with whatever the meeting is and decision or something, just kind of send that to the council so we know where we're at.
Okay.
One more thing.
Hey,
I'm allowed to talk about it now because I no longer have my conflict. So I'm going to talk about trash for the
Okay.
first time. This has become very contentious. People are on Nextdoor starting to get pretty upset.
Frankly, I drive around a lot of houses. I can't.
It's loud and I hear myself thinking. So a lot of the houses, I mean, there's still trash cans that are in front of people's houses that haven't even moved to the back. There's Prima Street, for instance. there's couches in the roadway. There's trash cans still in the front and they haven't moved them to the back. And so they're clearly not using the service. Then we have other people that seem to be having a lot of issues with not even getting their trash picked up at the right time. They're making sure it's out there and it's still not happening. And then they're being charged service fees to come back out to get it. And there seems to be a lot of unrest about this. And I know that there's people upset about it once a week, but from what I don't even know the bidding, but from what I've been told about the bidding and what I've heard online about the bidding, there was only once a week service that was even presented, correct?
That is correct because nobody is offering twice a week now. I mean, it's just, it's no longer exists.
Yeah. So we have been fielding those complaints. I know that we get those reports every day, and we're working closely with our representative with TDS to address that. In fact, we have a meeting on the 22nd for that exact reason. So we're trying to come up with solutions for it. One thing that I would encourage people in the community to do is don't think from the perspective of how the old company operated. This is a new company. They ask that you don't overfill the bins. They ask that, when you have bulk items, you call, and they will schedule a pickup of those items. I think that there's just a lot of maybe miscommunication as far as what that process looks like. With the old company, I think you set it out there and they just cycled through and picked it up on a certain time frame. With the new company, those things end up accumulating because the residents aren't calling the company and saying, hey, I have a, huge amount of bulk items that I'd like you to come pick up. So I know it's an additional step, but it is something that would really help us if residents would reach out for that bulk item pickup.
Yeah. And I think that where I'm kind of seeing, and potentially this could be a budgetary thing with the whatever one of Edward's departments plays into this, but some of these things, such as the couch that's been on Prima, has been there since before the trash contract switched. I mean, I got a complaint from a business owner about the power line, or not power lines, but the utility lines of some sort that are on Main Street, on 230, just west of Main Street before you get to Frontier Bank. Those have been there for a year, I want to say. They're just, it looks like some sort of fiber optic or cable line or something like that. I know it's not your purview, and I think even in front of the rec center that had been construction, I don't know if that was part of the reuse or the 95, but there just seems to be a lot of those kind of little things that I think, you can see it in my house, you can see it in the business where, you have things that kind of just become commonplace, and just looking to those things to kind of work to just beautify the city and take care of the city and stuff like that. And I think that those kind of things, it's just human nature to kind of just put it out of sight, out of mind. And I think just having even a punch list on that to like, hey, we need to take care of these kind of things, and just keeping it front of mind, I think would be hugely helpful for the city.
I've been working with Braxton, who was our account manager as we did all this. And I've got his commitment that they're going to do some more education. I think the biggest drop in communication between them right now is we get 12 bulk and they have to call it in, and there seems to be a disconnect that nobody knows to call it in. So if it doesn't get called in, it doesn't get picked up. They've promised us they're going to do a clean sweep once we get all of this worked out. And they'll go through, they'll pick up all the bulk trash, and we'll start all over. I have told them that it would be real easy for the guy when they're getting out and going over there. If there's just one little thing sticking out, tuck it in, close it, and pick it up. Be a little bit more friendly. I have stressed that the people in this town, they love their trash men from the past. It is a big thing, and it's not going to go away. So we need to find some way for them to communicate with the trash men and them to be receptive to that.
And also, will you add TDS to the July council meeting? They're going to come and do a presentation. He had reached out, and I'm sure I did not send that to you, but they're going to come for the July city council And so we can make a list of questions or however, and, we'll try to get as much addressed as possible, but our old trash came twice a week. They are part of everybody's family. And so as we go forward, we're going to try to be neighborly about all the situations, and TDS is wanting to work with us. So we just need to get, maybe like you said, do a punch list or something of that nature and try to get caught up. Okay?
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
do have a question about the bulk pickup. So do the residents have to call that in themselves, or is there something that the city could do in the, no, nothing? So if there's residents that are older, they don't have the phones, they're not quite savvy or mobile, there's nothing that the city could do?
Well, I would just say one thing, that's a little problematic for two reasons. One is, we would have to be for sure which resident is tied to the bulk that's being picked up. Um, we wouldn't want to take on the responsibility of accidentally taking one of those 12 free pickups a year from a resident when we thought it actually belonged to this person and it actually came from another person or the neighbor. Two, the time commitment. I'm pretty sure Edward, while his guys might be out seeing some of this stuff, um, for them to stop what they're doing and call and confirm whose residence it belongs to, I think that would be problematic for a few reasons. So in short, I don't think it would be a great idea for city to take on that responsibility. But we could do a campaign where we try to make sure the residents understand, the process and have the number. In fact, I know Doug has even gone as far as printing off, the phone number itself and like sticking it on the bulk and saying, please call, I'll come get this.
He
So-
sent me pictures of
Yeah.
all the places that he
I
did
mean,
that.
so, we really just need the residents just to call. I know it takes a few seconds out of your day and, but it would really help.
One thing you may do there is try to do some community work. If we're talking older people that are having trouble doing computer calling, do a community group that can help them. Let's work to do it and keep it in the community and not in City Hall.
And I'd also like to add on, just because we're not doing it now doesn't mean we can't do it. So we're going to meet with them on the 22nd. And one thing that we could ask is there a way for the city to serve as kind of a middle ground, if you will, like if a resident has bulk and they wanted to call the city, and then we could communicate that on their behalf. That might be a possibility, but we have to have those conversations.
Okay.
And you're welcome to attend that meeting if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd love to attend it.
Thank you. You good?
No.
You're not good? Still Tyrone's mic. Tyrone, do you have anything?
Tyrone's not allowed to talk now.
I'll wait till the next go around.
Oh,
There you
man.
All right, anybody else have anything you'd like to
I-
comment? Oh,
I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask you that we were just thinking about. Oh, my request is only if we're not going past NNR.
Okay.
But if we have the no new revenue rate, whatever that is, the name of that, if we're not going past that, I would prefer that we don't. I think that, as you can see, our tax rate's the highest out of all the ones that you brought up. But if we are not needing to raise our taxes, I would like to request that the council's training budget gets restored. That is something, especially with such a new council and so many people on the council, I'd love to see that is restored, especially because we are doing so well on our expenses right now.
yes to the training budget. Okay, very good. Anything else? Jennifer, you good? Okay, well.